Yeah, so we'll start. Hello, can you hear me? Hello.
Hello? Yeah, I am
Yeah,
able to hear you.
yeah. So we'll
Sorry, I
start.
have put my mic on mute.
Yeah, yeah, no problem. So we'll start.
I'll
Yeah,
be putting my mic on mute. No?
yeah. Okay,
If
no problem.
required, I'll ping you.
Yeah, sure. So what I'll do is that I'll just take the theoretical part first, and then we will get into the application. So I'll just put few points in Excel sheet. We will try to understand that, and maybe we will come to the application and do the configuration and see the transaction part of it. Yeah. So I think you are seeing my screen. So I'll just give high level understanding what is inside this fixed asset module and what are the things that we can do. And we will also see few business scenarios like how to what do you call handle this particular scenarios and all those things. So to
Yeah.
start with the asset module, so basically we have addition. So addition is nothing but we are adding asset from either through the invoice or we are adding through the manual addition. So we don't have, let's say we don't have the invoice copy or something. So for those cases, what we can do is that we can do the normal manual addition. Okay. So apart from that, we have an option to import it from the AP module. So which means we have the AP invoice. So through this invoice, what we will do is that we will basically import the invoice and we will run a program called mass addition. So using that, we will basically import it. Just give me 1 minute. Hello.
Hello?
Yeah. Uh, so
What is this FBDI?
Yeah, this we are not using it here. So this is part of Fusion application. So we can remove these options. So we don't have this feature here. So instead, we have something called WebAD.
Yeah.
So, so these are the three options that we have in the EBS application. So either I can do manual addition, or I can do WebAD, or I can do the AP invoice. Okay. So these are the three modes of adding the assets. Yeah, fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after adding the asset, so basically, if you see, if, let's say I have a laptop. So before 10 years, I might have bought for, let's say, 50,000.
Mm.
So I cannot sell the same laptop for 50,000 today because the market price might increase and also the usage cost is there and multiple factors involved in it, like the RAM and the other things. So basically, I'll have the rate of depreciation to calculate this asset called laptop. So why do we need to run this depreciation? So depreciation is nothing but it will allow us to or you can reduce the particular amount from the actual the original cost of the asset. Okay, so here we have different modes of calculating the depreciation. So we have straight line method and we have written down value method. So written down value method will be used mostly for the Indian customers, where this is part of an compliance to have it and the written down value method. And apart from that, for few cases we have the straight line method as well. So what is the difference between straight line and what is the difference between the written down value? So straight line is something that, let's say I say 10%. So which means till this asset is getting retired. So till that time, so I'll have only 10% as in depreciation. Let's say my asset cost is 1 lakh. So on this 10% is 10,000. Okay. So similarly for each period, I'll have the 10,000 as in depreciation amount. So now what is written down value method? So written down value method is something that it always calculate on the basis of the current cost of the asset or net book value. Okay. So based on this system will generate it. So it will not have same depreciation for all over the period. Okay.
Mm.
And apart from that, we have another method called production based depreciation. So what will happen in the production based depreciation is that, let's say I have 10 equipments with me or 10 machinery. So I'm into manufacturing business. So I have this 10 equipments with me. So this machinery is considered as an asset in the books of accounts. So now if I wanted to have the depreciation for this, so I cannot have as an 10% or 20%. Because if you see, the normal asset is different from the machinery. Because here there might be possible cases where for few assets I might not run for a week or whatever reason. So I might not run, maybe let's say two machineries I'm not running. The rest of the eight machineries I'm running for, let's say, 12 hours in a day. So this case, I don't want to calculate depreciation for the machinery which didn't run for these 2 days, because the machinery was not utilized completely. So I will avoid calculating depreciation. So how system will calculate is that based on the production that we make. Okay. So these are the methods that we have in terms of calculating the depreciation. Okay. And apart from that, we have few adjustments in fixed asset module. So one is that we can say cost adjustment and another one is unit adjustment. So cost adjustment is something that, let's say my current cost of the asset is 10,000. So for whatever reason, maybe market price or whatever reason, I wanted to adjust the cost of the asset. So what I'll do is that I'll go to the particular asset and I'll change the cost of the asset. So when I change this particular cost of the asset, the original cost will remain same, but my current cost will change to the latest one. Let's say from 1 lakh to 80,000. So it will be changed. Okay. So similarly, we have the unit adjustments. So unit adjustment is again from 10 quantity to 9 quantity. If I wanted to have the things adjusted, so I can use this unit adjustment. Okay. And we have transfer of asset. So why do we need transfer of asset? So basically, when we say fixed asset module, there are a few prerequisites in order to consider before we start our implementation project. So what we will do is that before we complete all those things, basically we will get the data from the legacy environment. So how are we getting the data from the legacy environment? So how we have the location flex field in Oracle Finance. So similarly, we have in the legacy system as well. So in a different form. So how do we want to map or how do we want to manage it? So we will do the mapping between the legacy system and our system, and we will import the asset into our new Oracle system. Okay. So here, let's say I have an asset in the building called A, and under a particular resource. Now I wanted to change it to maybe the department finance. So what I will do is that I'll do an asset transfer. So whatever the transaction that I'm doing it here, either changing the employee or transferring the ownership to the another employee, or changing the location or department, whichever changes I'm making, this will be in transfer of asset. Okay, and then we have the retirement part. So retirement is something that I have procured the asset and I have depreciated the asset, and in between I done the cost adjustment or whatever it is, and I have used it and I have transferred from one department to another department and things. And now what I have is that I have something called retirement. So the life of asset might be ended, or the other case maybe I don't want to hold this particular asset for a longer run, and I wanted to just sell it. So to sell this, what I will do is that I'll retire this particular asset. So I can either retire at end of the period, which means after we consume the entire cost of the asset, or I can straight away sell in the next month as well. Okay, so this is what we call the retirement. So basically, for the retirement, we have multiple conventions. So if you see, so these are the three conventions that we have. Okay, so when we say mid-month, so which means what system will do is that, let's say I have added an asset in the month of January 15th, let's say. In this case, what system will do is that in case of mid, system will calculate half of the depreciation for the first month, and when we are retiring this asset, system will calculate another half. Okay. And when we say following, what will happen is that system will not calculate for the first month. System will start calculating for the second month, but system will give the complete depreciation for the last month when we are retiring this asset. Okay. So similarly, we have current. So current is nothing but system will calculate depreciation for the first month when we are adding this asset. But whereas the depreciation for the final month when we are retiring this asset, it will not happen. Okay. So these are the three conventions we have. So basically, this will determine like when to calculate the depreciation and when to not calculate. So this impacts our depreciation process. So when we are deciding the retirement prorate convention, so we should be a bit conscious in terms of deciding whether we wanted to go to the current, following, or mid. Okay, and then we have something called reinstatement. So reinstatement is something kind of an retirement reversal. So retirement reversal in the sense, let's say I have an asset called A, and I have the unit of 10, let's say. So instead of retiring five assets, what I have done is that I have retired entire 10 assets. So in this case, I don't wanted to retire everything. So I wanted to have my five assets. So what I'll do is that I can reinstate this process, which means the retirement process, whatever I have done, will be reversed. Okay. So then, apart from this, we have the period closure. So what is period closure? So period closure is something that we will process all our mass addition. So mass addition is nothing but here for adding the asset we will have. So for mass addition, we will have the post addition program involved in it. So after we are closing these things and after we check our depreciation and the relevant entries, and once we do the reconciliation between our GL module and fixed asset module, so what we will do is that we will basically close our period. So before closing the period, we should be a bit conscious in terms of considering the prerequisite, because this is an hard closure. Okay. Okay. So what is hard closure and what is soft closure? So soft closure is something that I can reopen. So if you see GL periods, so I can reopen the periods unless I have freezed my auditing and everything is done and I have done the permanent closure. So that is when I cannot reopen the period. But other than those scenarios, I can reopen the periods very well. So that is the reason we are calling those particular period closure as a soft closure. So hard closure is something that I cannot reopen. Similarly, here in fixed asset, if you see, so this is an hard closure. So I cannot reopen this particular period in the fixed asset module. So let's say I have what you call unprocessed mass addition assets. So I cannot import this into the period that has closed. So the only option that I have is to push in the next period and have it imported. Okay, so these are the options that we have. So at high level, so these are the functionalities that we'll be looking at, and these are the things we'll be having. So do you have any queries or anything?
Just I want to know, can
Yeah,
you recap depreciation types? Depreciation.
depreciation types.
Yeah. Because in this only run depreciation is there.
Yeah,
You have discussed two, three types were there. No? So that is what I'll make a
depreciation.
note of it.
Yeah, depreciation in the sense you're saying the different modes of calculating,
Yeah,
the straight line method and
yeah,
yeah,
right line method.
yeah. Okay, so let's say I procured an asset called a laptop. Okay, so I procured this on, let's say, 1st January 2020, and the depreciation method that I used here is straight line method. Okay, so let's consider this percentage as an 10%, and asset cost is, let's say, 1 lakh. So in this case, how system will calculate the depreciation is that if you see here the original cost as the current cost, let's consider current cost. So current cost of this asset is 1 lakh. So on this 1 lakh, we say 10%. So which means this will calculate only on the original cost but not on the current cost. So in this case, our original cost and the current cost is same. That is 1 lakh. Okay, so this is kind of an predefined process where every period that system will calculate 10,000 as an depreciation. So in this case, for January, system will calculate 10,000. Okay, so my current cost of the asset that will be 90,000. Similarly, we will have it for February. So I'll have 80,000 since my depreciation cost will be 10,000. So
Okay,
similarly, this will keep retiring till the asset cost reaches zero. So when this will reach zero is on the 10th month.
okay,
Okay. So this is a simple calculation. So based on this straight line method, basically system is going to calculate. Okay. And apart from this, so we have something called return down value method. So let's take the same scenario, and in this case, what will happen is that so the original cost is 1 lakh and the current cost is 90,000. So it is 10,000. So since this is first month, it is 10,000, and let's say the next month opening would be 90,000. Okay. So next month, when system is calculating depreciation, it will calculate on 90,000 but not on the 1 lakh. So this month depreciation would be 9,000. So deducting 9,000, it will be 81,000. So here we will have 8,100. So similarly, we will reach out to zero.
okay, okay.
Okay. And apart from that, we have production. So production is based on the capacity. So this will depends on the production the unit. So how many hours we have run it. So let's take what do you call the machinery. So here original cost would be 1 lakh. So another asset. So this is 1 lakh. So let's assume that for this particular period, I didn't run this machine. So in this case, system will not calculate depreciation for this. So depreciation would be zero. But whereas for this particular asset, it has run. So it will consider 10%, which means 10,000. Okay. So these are the widely used depreciation method that we have. So apart from this, so we have few other options as well. So we have something called formula, and then we have something called flat, and we have table based. So based on the requirements, we can configure the depreciation methods. But if you see as a whole, these are the depreciation method that is being used widely. In case of manufacturing units, so this is the method mostly companies will prefer. So apart from that, we have this one, written down value method. So if you see Middle East and India and Singapore, most of the clients they use written down value method, and very rarely we will use the straight line method. Okay. Yeah. Any other doubt? Yeah. Anything else, or we
I
can move to
can,
application?
yeah, you can.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm sharing my screen. So here, if you see, so we have a setup for asset module. So there is a prerequisite for this. So before we come to the asset module configuration, we will need our this thing what we call the GL module setup. Okay. So in this case, what I do is that the assumption is that we have already have the GL module with us, which means it is configured and it is ready to do test the transaction. So at this stage, what I can do is that I can directly come here and I can start the configuration part. So the first configuration would be books control. Sorry, it is system options. Yeah, it is session expired. Yeah. So if you see here, I cannot edit this particular configuration. So this will be applicable as a global. So which means I use same structure for all my books of accounts or asset books, I can say. So here we have three categories. So one is that category Flexfield. So categories we can say major and minor we have it. So major is something that let's say we have furniture. So we call furniture as an high level classification. And under furniture, we have multiple options like we have table, chair, and we have office equipments. So whatever the kind of an detailed part of it, we can classify as a minor category. And at major category, we can give a high level information, either it is furniture or some kind of office supplies or the office equipment. We can specify that. So that is what we are saying in the category. Okay. And this category can be changed at the later point of time as well. Yes, we will have the financial impact here, but still there is a possibility that we can change it. Let's say business has classified chair as an office equipment instead of having this particular asset as an furniture. So what I'll do is that I'll do the change of category. So this particular option is available for us, and to have this as a base, so we have this category structure. So after completing this configuration, we will see what are the flex field structures that we have, and what are the values that we have inside it. Okay. So this is about the category flex field, and then we have the location flex field. And location flex field is primarily used to identify whether this particular asset is in, let's say, Chennai or Hyderabad or Delhi or Mumbai, any place. So this will contain even the floor, building, and city and the state details of the location, so that I can track it. Even I can include my department also in this. It is not mandatory to have it, but we have an option. If you wanted to add, we can add this. Okay, so since this is a vision environment, we are seeing all those options already created and frozen. So if not, what we can do is that we can attach our what do you call the flex field values. But once we have attached it and we have saved it, this will be frozen. Okay. So after that, we cannot change it. So this is a one-time configuration. And then we have asset key. So asset key is used to track or identify the special, what do you call, the special information of the asset. So we can have this as an the segment, so that we can input our values there, and we can utilize to track the asset or to find the asset, the exact asset. Okay. So apart from that, we have this starting and last asset number list. So which means here, if you see, I can have 3,30,000. I mean 2,37,614 assets. I can use it. Okay. So we will be define it more in terms of real time. But since this is an vision environment, so we have defined it like 3,37,000. Okay. So any doubts here?
Yeah, I'm able to understand.
Okay. Okay. So I'll just navigate to the Flexfield. So I'll start with category. So in category, if you see, so I have two segments. So one is major and the other one is minor. So we have this value sets. So inside value sets, so basically we will have all this validation and everything put in. So based on this, we will have either it is an independent or dependent segment. So if you see this particular value called major category, so this is an independent because this doesn't depend on any other value. So when I say furniture, I don't need to depend on any other value. But when I say chair, it should depend on furniture or the office supplies. Okay. So now if you see the minor category, we will have the dependent value set because this is depending on the major category. Okay, so basically we will load the values for on top of this value set called Vision FA major category. So similarly, we will load values for the FA minor categories as well. Yeah, and then we have, okay, and then we have the location. So location, it is not limited to have only this particular segments. As I told, we can have the what do you call the floor and department as well. So based on the requirement, we can add the segments and we can make use of this particular values. So similarly, we will have the value sets for this as well. So we will load our values. So in this case, when we have business operation inside India, so which means this will not make any sense to us. So when we have the operations more than two or three countries, so that is when country will make sense. Or maybe similarly, we can just look those fields and we can map the different segments here. Okay, so for now we have country, we have state, city, and we have building. Yeah. So similarly, we have the value set for the asset key as well. So asset key here we are not using for the greater extent because what we are doing is that we are just showing the asset key. So we can just keep a value here. So whether active, inactive, or maybe whatever we wanted to capture, so that we can capture it here. So for example, let's say the legacy system has a value called mark for sales. So if you wanted to capture those information, maybe we can make use of this feed. So while we are importing the assets, maybe we can use those configurations and we can achieve it. So similarly, based on the requirement, we will have the asset key fields built in. Okay, so once we are done with our segment or the structure configuration, so what we will do is that we will basically load the values for the asset. So I'll just take the category field. Okay, so if you see, so we have a lot of values filled in. So in real time, we will not have R2 on the asset and the other categories since this is an vision application. So people has created a lot of this thing. So usually we will have buildings, we will have furnitures, and we will have office supplies. So if you just come down, we will have the minor categories to each of the major category. So here, if you see, we can define this as an maybe let's say we are into the construction business, and we will have buildings, what do you call, constructed maybe in a span of 6 months. So we will create this as an CIP asset, that is construction in progress, and we will acquire this particular asset once the construction and all those activities are done. So we will have the category as in building, and under building we can specify the building name or whatever the inputs that we wanted to give, so that we can specify it here. Okay, so this is about the category. So similarly we have it for the location and the other things, where we will fill in the values, and we will have the values loaded. Yeah, fine.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah. So after we load our values, so basically what we will have to do is that we will have to create our, we'll have to attach the asset key, whatever we created there. So we will have to do it here. So let's say I have an asset that is created there. So I'm just adding it here. So unless I add it here, I'll not be use it in the application when I'm creating the asset. So this applies for the location and the categories as well. So if you see here locations, so I'll just say the maybe this location that I have added in the Flexfield structure. So I say this location will be added. So I can use this location. Similarly, I have the categories as well. So categories, this will have other what do you call the other configurations as well. So maybe I'll take this at later point of time. So before that, I'll take this one, the calendar part. So to start with the calendar, so basically our fixed asset calendar should sync with the GL calendar. So unless this is in the sync, we will not have the accounting information passing through in a sequence. So let's say I have April calendar there in GL, and here I have the normal calendar or the US calendar. So that is starting from the Jan to December. So whereas my GL period is starting from April to March. So when the system is not in sync, so let's say I'm in the second month of the year. So in this case, my asset period would be on the February month, but whereas my GL would be on the May month. So system will say that the period is not open. But whereas we cannot open the period also just like that, because we need the approval and the other things from the finance sets as well. So for these complications, the standard approach is that we will have the same calendar as like GL. Okay. So here, if you see, we have fiscal calendar. So in terms of calendar, we have three configurations. So first thing is on the physical calendar. Then we have the depreciation calendar. Then we have prorate calendar. So we will see each. So first I'll start with the physical calendar. So if you see physical calendar, so what I'll say is that my calendar will, so when I say fiscal calendar, it doesn't mean that I should start the what do you call the dates from 1st of April. So I can start even from 1st of February. So that depends on my configuration. but provided I have the same configuration in GL as well. So here, let's say I have a period called period starting from 1st January. So which means I'll say 1st January to 31st December. And mid-year, I would say it is on 1st July. Okay. And I will say the fiscal year, that is 2020. Or maybe if you wanted to do the data migration for, let's say, 3 to 4 years also. So for those cases, respective years, I will give it here. Okay. So that's all about our fiscal year configurations. Then we have the normal calendar. So basically, we will attach the fiscal calendar that we created in the earlier configuration, and we will start our period. So let's create a simple calendar. So I'll just say Tata. So I say 1st January to 31st January, 31st December. So my fiscal year would be 2020. Let's say I give it for let's say 3 years. Okay, so I open till 2022. So the next configuration is to have it for the depreciation calendar. So here I'm attaching as an what do you call the fiscal calendar what we created earlier. So I say it is 12 period. So similarly, I'll create for the rest of the periods as well. Okay, so I'm done with the calendar part. So the next configuration would be to create the prorate convention. Okay, so here I mark this particular flag called depreciate when placed in service. So when placed in service is nothing but when actually we have procured and we wanted to start this asset as an active. So the moment we make this particular asset as an active, system will start calculating the depreciation for that. So let's say I give the period for this as an what do you call the mid month. So let me use the mid month as an prorate. So I'll say 15th January 2020. Actually, this much we don't need it. I overpressed it, so it's not stopping actually. I think this process is not stopping. So what I'll do is that I'll close this form and I'll reopen it.
Able to see us. Oh,
Yeah, you're saying something?
not able to see us.
Yeah, yeah, that's what the form is closed. So I'm
Okay, now.
reopening it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so we are done with our this thing, the Prorate convention. So the Prorate convention that we have took is that mid-month. So which means I said 15th of January. So system will calculate for the first month it will calculate off, and for the last month the system will calculate off. Since this is an mid-month. So in case of current period, so system will calculate the entire depreciation for the first period, and when we are retiring at that case, so system will not consider depreciation, so it will just take or consume only the retirement related cost and the entries. Yeah, so we are done with our what do you call the calendar configuration, and we also did our Flexfield, and we have seen the values of the Flexfield. And next configuration would be to start our book controls. So book control is the place where actually we will create our asset book. So whatever asset that we are adding, so this will be always on top of the this particular asset book. So whichever we are having it. So also we have asset book security. So which we will see it after we complete all our configurations. Okay. So I create an let me create an asset book called Tata. So here, if you see, so we have two kinds of asset books. So one is that corporate book, and the other one is tax book. So apart from that, we have budget book, which is not widely used. So mostly we will have the tax and corporate book. So the transaction that we are doing, that is transferring the asset or retiring or calculating the depreciation or doing any sort of adjustment. So everything will be fall or it will be captured in the corporate book. So tax book is for the compliance part. So what will happen is that we have something called transfer. So in this transfer, what will happen is that whatever transaction that we have made in a given period in the corporate book, so this transaction will be moved or copied to the tax book for the compliance purpose. Okay, so this is the only purpose of having the tax book. So apart from that, corporate book is the one where actually we will do the transaction or add asset or depreciate assets. Okay, so let me take this ledger called Tata Auto, and let me pick the calendar that we created, and current period is February. And here if you see, I have two options. Either I can say evenly or I can say by days. So by days is nothing but depreciation will be calculated on each day. But whereas when we say evenly, which means it is going to divide into periods and it is going to calculate the depreciation. So that is the difference between evenly and by days. So I don't want to have it by days. Even the depreciation calendar that I defined is for the period. So I'll select evenly. Okay. Yeah. So we have option here, depreciate if retired in the first year. So which means, let's say I add an asset in the month of February and I wanted to retire this particular asset. So can I calculate the depreciation? So when I enable this particular checkbox, I can calculate the depreciation when I'm retiring in the first year itself. Okay. So apart from that, we have the accounting rules. So in accounting rules, basically we have a few configuration that we need. So most of the configuration is kind of an additional information for us. So if you see allow revaluation, so when we say retire revaluation reserve, which means when we retire particular asset, so basically system will calculate the what do you call the revaluation cost of the particular assets. So I'll say revalue for YTD as well. And then we have amortize revaluation reserve. Okay. So amortization and adjustments both are same. It is like how do we retain this particular asset. So that is what going to make difference in terms of amortization. And apart from that, what else we have? Allow cost sign changes. So this is understandable. So these are the basic configuration that we need. And we have group depreciation. So which means if we have asset group, so asset group is nothing but, let's say we have a collection of asset which will be group which can be grouped in a particular asset. Let's say we have furniture A, B, C. So if we wanted to group it, so we can group it. So based on this grouping, we can run the depreciation. So that is what we have here as an allow group depreciation. So I don't want to have the grouping of assets. So I'm just disabling this option for now. And then we have the account code combination that we will have to give it for the particular asset. So unless we give the accounts here, so we will not be able to generate the relevant entries when we are retiring the assets. So let me give each thing for the assets. Yeah, so we are done with our configuration. So we have our asset book called Tata FA book. So we have create our books. So next step would be to create the categories. So similarly how we have created for the location. So now we will have to create the same step for the categories as well. So what we will do is that, so we will take the particular category and we will assign it to the what do you call, so let me take vehicle and let me assign to category. Okay, I think the values are assigned. So I'll do one thing. I'll just add a new value to this, and after that, maybe we will have the categories added. Yeah. So we have added the category. So maybe we will add it here. Yeah. So we have added our category. And then if you see here, so we have a lease and we have a non-lease and we have leasehold improvement. So when we are using the lease or so we have a different module called lease management. So apart from that, if we wanted to use the lease concept inside this asset module, so we can enable this option called lease. So which means this category that I'm attaching to the asset will be a lease asset. So we don't want to lease it. So we wanted to have this as an capitalized asset. So what I'm choosing is non-lease. So which means this is an capitalized. And here we can see that there is an option called lease or ownership. So this is an owned. So I'm selecting ownership. So we can see that two options. One is physical inventory and the other one is capitalized. So we have capitalized it. So when we will have this option is that so basically, there are a few assets that will be construction in process or CIP. So for those cases, what will happen is that we will have this capitalization flag enabled. Okay. So these are the options that we have in the header information. So what I'm doing is I'm attaching the book here, and let me attach the relevant account codes. So whatever we are seeing it in the blue, so these are the ones that is mandatory. Yeah. So we have defined or we have given the required account code combinations. And the next setup would be to give the depreciation method. So I'll take a simple straight line method and we will see in the depreciation method while we are defining it. So what are the cases that we have? Yeah, so we are good with it. So I'm just giving it. Yeah, this is for some. Yeah, so we have defined our categories as well. So in terms of configuration, almost we are done, and we are good to add the asset. So before that, I'll just say one point on the depreciation method and one point on the security of the books. So first we will see the methods of depreciation. What are the configurations that we have? Yeah. So here if you see, so I'll just give a naming convention for my depreciation method, and I have a method type. So here, if you see, I have production-based depreciation, which we saw, and we have flat. So flat will be used mostly for the straight line method, so which we saw that 10% case. And for return down value method also, we will use flat. So after selecting the flat, what we will do is that instead of selecting from the cost, we will say net book value. So what is the meaning or how will it impact when I select cost or when I select net book value? So when I select cost, which means system is going to check the cost and give the depreciation calculation. But whereas when I say net book value, so after deducting the depreciation, so my net book value might have reduced to maybe 90,000 or 80,000 based on the percentage that we have given. So in this case, what the system will do is that basically system will calculate the depreciation and it will give us the net book value. And system will calculate certain percentage on the net book value, whatever we are assigning it here. Okay. So if it is straight line method, we will choose cost. If it is return on value method, we will choose net book value. Okay. So similarly, we have the production table and calculator formula. So formula is kind of we will write a certain formula to derive the depreciation amount. Okay. So this one is widely used basically the flat one, and rarely we will use also the production. So table are the one basically we will have the method. Okay. Any doubt? Yeah. So I was saying about the method type. Just some. Hello.
Oh,
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, just give me. Yeah. So I was explaining about the depreciation method. So if you see here, so in case of the straight line method, basically we will choose flat, and we will say the it is based on the cost. So which means system is going to calculate on the original cost that we have given. So that is on the 1 lakh. Okay. So when we say it is on the net book value, so this is basically for the return on value method. So where we will say it will calculate on the basis of net book value. I mean the current cost of the book. Okay, and then we have the production. So production, if you see, so this will be always based on our cost, since we have production based depreciation. Okay. And then we have calculated. So calculated is something that we will based on our calculation, so whatever we are assigning it, so based on that we will calculate the depreciation. Okay. So then we have the formula. So formula is something that based on the conditions that we are giving it here, so based on that system will calculate the depreciation. Okay. So we can just give the formula, and we can test the formula whether it is working fine. Yeah. So these are the things that we have it in the depreciation method. And if you see here, so we have the depreciation basis rule. So I'm just using the recoverable cost that is default. So basically, it is the recoverable cost will be calculated based on this rule that we have given it here. And I have mentioned this depreciate in year retired. So which means when I'm retiring this particular asset, depreciation is applicable. And I can just click the rate, and I can give the basic depreciation rate, either it is 5% or 10%. Okay, so we have defined the depreciation as well. So the last thing on the configuration part we have is the security. Okay, so we have two things. So this is part of our multi-org access control. So here, if you see, so basically we will have the security defined for our books. So here, what I'll do is that I'll say maybe some XYZ, and okay, I didn't define asset organization specifically. Yeah, so basically the purpose of having this particular option is that, so let's say we have 50 books in our this thing. So there are two possible ways to handle the asset security. So one way of handling is that, let's say there is a case where we have one asset book which will be maintained by our headquarters or the corporate office. So for those cases, we will not need this security, since it is handled only by one specific business unit or the operating unit. Okay, so there will be cases where it will be maintained by the respective offices or the branch offices. So for those cases is what we will need the security. So security will apply on the basis of the unit or the operating unit, and the asset book that we are giving. Okay, so these are the configurations that we have. So let's try to add an asset, and we will try to depreciate it. So I'll say asset. Under asset, I'll say asset workbench. So I'll say this is a laptop. So I'll select the category that we created. So I'll say this is in 10 quantity. So this is an capitalized asset. So I'll just mention the tag ID. Okay. So I'm done with the basic informations that system need to create an asset. So I'll just say continue and I'll add the financial information of the book. Okay. So the current cost of the asset would be 1 lakh. Okay. So we have added an asset for the value of 1 lakh. And since this is not a migrated this thing, I don't have any YTD balance or I don't have any accumulated depreciation. Okay. So I don't have the salvage value of it as well. And the depreciation method I have taken is straight line method. And you can see here the date placed in service is 29th of February since this is our first period. And based on the configurations that we did and attached the prorate convention for the asset category, so system has picked in the prorate convention from our configurations that we have given, and our configuration is mid month. So which means the configurations that we have given is that from 15th of February. So basically system will calculate if this is an retirement that is happening. So how does system want to have the depreciation and the other things? Okay, so based on the configuration, system has auto populated all those values. And apart from that, if you see here, so we have a column called group asset. So group asset is used when we wanted to have the grouping of assets. So we saw in the earlier thing. So we didn't enable this particular functionality. So I'm just leaving this open. Okay, so we have filled in enough inputs that whatever system needs it. So I'll just go ahead and I'll make this to continue. Okay, so I'm done with the configuration. So I'll just say 10 quantities and I'll say employee, maybe I'll say Arun. Yeah, so similarly, we will have the location also defined for this particular unit. So let's take a unit here. Okay, so I'm done with the assigning particular location to this particular asset and the employees. So I have given unit change to 10. I mean, here I'm just trying to assign this particular unit to employee Arun. Yeah, so this is our asset book that is Tata. book, and the category that we used is Tata Major and Tata Minor. So this is our category, and we can see our tag number. So this would stay as a reference point for us. And now we can see the financial inquiry. So after clicking this, when we click the financial inquiry, so we will get the details of this particular asset. So we can see that we don't have any depreciation and the other things involved here. Since we just added the asset, we didn't do any action towards it. So we will just try to run the depreciation and we will see how this financial information is impacting. Okay. So here we can see only the addition. So the addition is done. So the cost is 1 lakh. Yeah. So we are done with it. So let me copy this invoice number and let me process the depreciation. So to process the depreciation, so the navigation would be from here. I'll select the depreciation. So here I would say run. So I'm just selecting a book and I'm not closing this period. So I'm just leaving this open and I'll run the depreciation. So this might take couple of minutes. So let's wait for completing the reports. I mean the concurrent program. Yeah. So we can see that. So this is the asset that we added. So that is 338614. And we can see that life of the asset that we opted for is 2 years. So that is based on the depreciation method that we have taken, and we have given in the category, if you remember. So in category, we have given this as a straight line method and for the period of 2 years. So there we can change it. Okay. And apart from that, when we are adding the asset, we said this the original cost or the current cost of the asset is 1 lakh. So based on that, system has generated the depreciation. Okay. So let's navigate to the application and we will try to see the financial information of the asset. So I'll just navigate to inquiry, and from here I'll say financial information. Okay. So now we can see that there is a depreciation involved, and we can see that the amount has been distributed. So this is 4,166.67. Okay. Yeah. So any doubt?
Yeah. Some.
Okay. Okay. So I'll just do this one also. So we have something called transaction history. So transaction history will basically let us to understand the what do you call the detailed information of the particular given transaction. So let's take this one. So since I didn't make any changes to the transaction, so I'll just take this one. Yeah. So we can see the details of it. So we didn't change cost of this particular asset. So we could see the original cost is same as the current cost. So now what we will do is that we will try to change the cost of the asset, and we will try to understand how this is impacting our depreciation and our current cost. Yeah. So this is the asset details. So I have taken the transaction details of it. So let me take this and let me go back to the transaction screen. Yeah. So basically, we will see the before and after and the original cost. So if you see here, so basically the original cost will not change. So the change will be always on the current cost. So the original cost, even if you wanted to change, so this will be non-editable. So we cannot edit it. So this will be same. And if you see, so based on the rule or based on the things that we have made changes, so system will calculate or what do you call knock off the depreciation. So we will just run the accounting and we will see how it is reflecting. So here I'll select for Tata and I have the category. So in the category, I can say specific category, but this case, I have done two, three transactions. So that is addition and I have did the cost adjustment and the other thing. So I don't want to run it for a specific category. So I'll leave it open. And the report thing I have given as detail. Okay. So that's it. I'm just processing this to GL. So let's check the accounting entries. Okay, I set up actually the budget for this particular ledger. So that is the reason for failure. So I didn't add the budget values for it. So apart from that, we are good with it. So okay, let's review the entries. So let me take the batch and let me query it in the GL module. Yeah. So here we can see the asset cost has been debited and asset clearing has been credited. Okay. So this is for the addition. And here you can see, so this is adjusted. So basically we will have the same entry, but this will be adjusted because this will have the financial impact in our books. So we changed our current cost from 1 lakh to 80,000. So which means 80,000 should be knocked off. So that's why we have reversed of the addition entry. So the addition entry would be always on the asset cost to asset clearing. But in this case, if you see, the asset clearing is debited and asset cost is credited. Okay. So this is how system basically treats the entries or the changes that we are making in the asset module. Okay. So we have added the asset and we have depreciated and we have made the adjustments to the asset. So now what we will do is that we will try to retire an asset and see like how the asset is impacting, and also we will try to understand the reinstatement. So before that, let me open the books. Yeah, I can see that cost is this much. Yeah. So what I'll do is that I'll just make one unplanned depreciation asset. So basically we'll have the unplanned depreciation as an adjustment. So I'll just run the create accounting one. So to have this effect.
Hello?
Sorry, I was in mute. What I was saying is that, so I have this February period. So for the February period, so basically the actual depreciation for the given period is 4,000 as per the calculation that we have given.
Okay.
But whereas if you see, we did an unplanned depreciation adjustment. So even though that is an depreciation adjustment, still the system will consider this as an adjustment amount. So this will come as a thousand adjusted. So the net of I mean the depreciation amount is 3,000. So apart from that, due to the cost adjustment that we have made, system has adjusted its depreciation amount, and system has said that the depreciation calculated on the current price or the current cost of the asset is 3,000. Okay, and we can see the changes here. That is 65,000 is the current cost of our asset. So this is the net book value. So when we are seeing the written down value method, we saw something called net book value based depreciation. So which means here in this case, I have given straight line method. So since the depreciation method is 3,000, system has automatically taken 3,000 for the next period as well. But if I have enabled this as an written down value method, which means system is going to calculate on this particular amount 65,000, but not on the original cost and populate 3,000. So that will be the difference. Okay. So apart from that, we retired one what do you call the one quantity or unit of asset. So because of that, so we have actually the change in the accumulated depreciation and total net book value. Okay. So this is how the financial information will be changed. And here if you see, we will have the remaining life. So which means we have consumed or we have processed the depreciation for one period. So that is for the February period. So system is saying that we have consumed it for one, and we have 1 year 11 month remaining to be consumed. Okay, so this is our understanding. Yeah, so what else we saw these things. Mm, okay, we didn't define this one. We don't use this one. Yeah, so this is for the mass depreciation adjustment. So the unplanned depreciation that we did is for the single asset. So let's say we have what do you call the list of assets that we wanted to have the depreciation adjustment. So we will have here like mass depreciation adjustment. And what we will do is that basically we will run based on the parameters or the selection criteria that we are giving. Okay. So that's it, one thing. And apart from that, production, we are not doing it. But if at all we wanted to use it, the production based depreciation. So this is where basically we will give the details for the production. Okay. So we will give it here. So there are two options. So either we can give it here manually, or probably we can upload it as well. Okay. And we have a few mass transaction that we can do. So if you see, so we have the asset transfer. So if you wanted to do the, so this all things are all are, I mean, the functionalities that we are seeing it here will be based on the criteria or the parameters that we are inputting here. So for example, if I wanted to do an asset transfer, so what I'll do is that I'll just pick the particular book, and I'll say the transfer. So in case I don't wanted to transfer between this thing, or let's say I wanted to transfer between department. So what I'll say in this case is that I'll say from location 1 to location 2, which means from Chennai to Hyderabad, I'm transferring this particular asset. Okay, so this is the condition that I have given. So based on this, basically system will process our transfer. So similarly, we will have our changes, revaluation, retirement, and reclassification. So reclassification is nothing but changing the category from one category to other category. So that if you wanted to do, so we can do. So similarly, so we will have which classification to which classification should system consider. Okay, so basically we'll have the new category. So based on the system is going to perform the category change. Okay, so these are the things, and apart from that, anything that you wanted to see or any doubt? Hello.
Yeah, I am able to follow it.
Yeah, so we are good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let me know if you want to see any specific thing. I mean, I have covered almost all the functionalities that we have in the fixed asset. So maybe if you want to see a specific case, we can see.
Go through if there are any doubts.
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure. Anytime you can get back to me, or maybe if you can ping me in the group also, that should be fine. Or maybe tomorrow we can meet and we can have this. Yeah, just go through this session, and if you have any doubt or you need any clarification, let me know. Yeah, yeah,
Please
fine.
share me the
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure. I'm sharing
on
this.
that Excel sheet also.
Yeah, yes, yes. I'm sharing the Excel sheet and the video right away. You'll get it in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks for
Thanks,
joining.
Arun.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank